In March, I headed to southern Utah to visit the team at Outdoor Vitals in order to test out some of their gear on a short backpacking trip. I was joined by a group of YouTubers, all from the backpacking and outdoor space from the US, New Zealand, and from Canada. Some of whom I've been following for a while, but I was meeting them all in person for the first time. So in this, the second episode of my 2024 vlog series, I'll show you footage from our trip. And I got to test out a quilt for the first time, as opposed to a full sleeping bag, along with a trekking pole tent from Outdoor Vitals, which was really cool, and a bunch of their apparel. And I learned a ton from this group who collectively just have so much experience, both hiking and with YouTube. So after arriving at our Airbnb and getting kitted out with all of the latest Outdoor Vitals gear, the plan was to get up the next morning and to drive as a group to the trailhead. So how does this work? Do we take turns filming?
We're always rolling.
Yeah.
So we're obnoxious.
We're just gonna drive it just like we drove at the sand dunes yesterday, guys.
Perfect. Let's go on bobsled. Drive it like it's stolen.
Yeah, let's go bobsled.
The route that we were doing was in a wilderness area just south of Zion, near the Arizona border.
You can be the first one out, right?
Yeah, that's right. You got to be the first one out of the van to get the good content.
So we have just made it to the trailhead here at Squirrel Canyon in southern Utah, just outside of Colorado City. And I'm with the biggest group of YouTubers I think I've ever been with. For the most part, they're all backpacking YouTubers, so I'm a bit of a fish out of the water. I'm the odd man out here as being more of a trail runner, fast packer, but that also means I have the lightest pack of everybody. We did a little weigh-in. I came in at 14 pounds. Most people were closer to 20, 21. We're gonna head up for about a 6-mile hike and go camp out on the trail, test out some tents and some other gear, get to know each other a little bit and shoot some content.
Very biblical. Just some Canadians and some Kiwis, eh?
Trying to convert to kilos.
I don't know how many kilometers we're doing today, but...
Sort of like Inception here. Got a bunch of YouTubers below me shooting content.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
What if I go below you?
I'll go high. You go high.
This is beautiful. All right, so we're just making our way up this canyon here. And this is the Skyline 30-liter fast pack that I'm using. You've probably seen this one before. We used it in Slovenia last summer for our fast pack there in the Julian Alps. The founder of Outdoor Vitals, Tayson, you may recognize as one of my pacers from the Moab 240.
Lay out the air pads for the fall. Positioned right-wise, we're still in kind of the greater Zion area. So Zion is gonna be back this way from us. But then in the very far distant over there, you can see the plateau that Bryce Canyon is off of. So you can see some of the pink cliffs way in the distance. And then if you were to be able to go up and over that mountain, you'd be right in the heart of Bryce Canyon.
You've got a race coming up.
I do, yep. You bolstered me into running on that mountain range right over there, actually, the Bryce Canyon 100. So we'll see how that goes. Hitting training hard, but this week is more of a time on feet week than a running mileage week, so.
Like goofier than I realized. I have to make sure that everyone online knows that. Action! Do a jump, parkour!
Oh, perfectly executed.
Influencers in the wild.
That's right.
Now there we have the cult have found their last water source.
You can do film.
Yeah?
Yeah. Be a producer.
Yeah.
Director.
So we reached our final running water spot, so we're all just filtering some water while we can. Do the final push, last mile, mile and a half up to camp.
Bigger section there. We'll get up here too, where there's a bunch of the Moki marbles, you know. They essentially, iron will collect into like a ball, and then everything will erode around it, and then all of a sudden you just have a ball left. So there's just piles of rock balls, essentially, iron-esque balls.
We soon came upon some of the coolest geological features of the day, before getting a view of Zion National Park in the distance.
Oh, wow.
So we've arrived at camp and everyone's fanning out to find their spot to set up their tent. And this is actually the first time that I set up this tent. It's a trekking pole tent, and I actually didn't have adjustable trekking poles. The Likey FX1s that I use, they are a fixed length. So the guys at Outdoor Vitals lent me some trekking poles to use. I didn't actually use them on the hike, but I am going to use them now to set up the tent. And we'll see how I do. I might need to get some help from the guys, but normally I would have researched this in advance and tested it at home, but I figured I was in good company with the team who designed it.
Easy peasy. Loose four corners, hit your two vestibules, snug it up. The reason that I choose to use a trekking pole tent, why I love them so much, is one, in your pack, tiny amount of space, right? This is actually a two-person tent, so this is quite a bit bigger, and it's Dyneema, so it's even bigger than some of our other models, but way smaller. Usually, you're about half of the weight. As far as weather, like we could get wind up here, right? So picking a trekking pole that can handle a little bit of weather might matter, and people might argue for a pole tent in that scenario, but never had an issue as long as you're setting it up properly. So really, cut half the weight, cut half the bulk.
Yeah, because you're carrying poles anyway. Right?
Yep, carrying poles, running with poles, something like that. And even if you're not, right, we have smaller carbon fiber poles that are typically just, like, pole length is so much shorter because you just have one vertical, not something that's arching over the whole thing, so.
Okay, so I think I've got the tent set up now. I've got it staked out. I had to add some rocks because the sand was a little bit loose, so I put some rocks over top of the stakes. I had to get a little bit of help from Derek as well, just in getting it set up properly. But I think we're all set here. So one side is higher than the other, so you can see there the two trekking poles holding up the doors. Then I've got the two extra guy lines as well on the ends, which just gives you a little bit more headroom. So let's go inside and see how it looks. I've got my Outdoor Vitals top quilt over top of my sleeping pad. I think unfortunately this pad's been discontinued, but I have the Outdoor Vitals pillow and of course the down jacket, the Nova UL, ready to go as soon as temperatures start to drop here. That evening we did another little hike over to a viewpoint to catch the sunset.
Why did I do
All right, we are about a mile away from camp. We're heading back to the Squirrel Canyon trailhead. We do have a number of miles left, but most of the trail is actually going to be Utah flats. So Not really flat, but it won't be as steep as like a lot of the climbing that we did yesterday. And then we're done. Got some sandwiches waiting back at the van.
So not only did we get to try out a bunch of great gear, but we had a blast. And as I said, I was able to learn a ton and to forge some new friendships. So thanks so much to Outdoor Vitals for taking such good care of us all week. And I'll link to all of that OV gear that I used, including all of the apparel I was wearing, below in the description in case you want to learn more. And those will be affiliate links, so I would make a small commission on any sales, but it doesn't cost you any more. And of course, it helps out the channel. And I'll also include links below to the hikes that we did on Strava in case you're curious about those as well. So 3 of us had later flights back on the last day, which meant that we had a bit of time to kill. So Tayson took us out for what is probably the most quintessential Utah recreational activity.
What are we doing here, Tayson? What are you about to show us?
We're about to unload the Razor, which is just kind of like a personal trophy truck. Take you up on the sand dunes, we'll see some amazing views, and maybe get a little western, a little southern Utah spice for you. So
Nice.
It's so cool. I'm a little jealous, honestly. You got to ride on this, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I got here first, and then Tayson was like, "Do you want to go hop on the Razor?" I'm like, "Yeah." I don't really know what to expect because, like, I don't know. We don't have that up in Canada.
No.
So they're a 2-seater, so their wheelbases, see how his front tires are almost off there?
Oh yeah.
So it's way more sketchy. I used to have a 2-seater, I'd bring up this and it was a lot less comfortable.
That was the most fun I've had in a long time.
By far the most fun I've had in a vehicle. I can say that for sure.
God. Like pretty. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry for being so loud. I just not.
It makes it funner for us.
Oh my god, I was like laughing so hard I was crying. There was like sand in my eyes.
So these are some really cool spots to get photos too. Like you kind of walk out on that one and get like just this.
Oh yeah.